welcome to the final state of the Eagles. David Moulton along with FGCU Athletic Director Ken Cavanaugh. Let's put the spring season to bed. We'll start with baseball. I believe it was the 5th regular season championship in the ASUN for Toe and the boys. Came down to, well, the last half inning of the regular season.
Yeah, it was an extremely exciting year. As we've talked about in previous episodes, ASUN baseball has had tremendous success. All the major leaguers, Chris and Jacob deGrom and Corey Kluber and many others. And this was another great year for it. We added Liberty to the mix that made it even more difficult. We get to a position where the last 3 games and whoever wins the series is going to win the regular season. We were glad that we hosted it. We're glad that we had last at-bats and didn't need to use them. But it was an exciting situation. We were up 9-1 in that last game, and it looked like we were going to have a nice celebration, and next thing you know, they've got the bases loaded and 2 outs, and we needed to call third strike to wrap it up. But just again, terrific accomplishment. Very excited for Toe, and in a turn where we've had a number of individuals that were rightfully recognized. Started with Mason Sudstill, made first team all conference, and again, just you get into the conference tournament and double elimination, dealing with weather, and in our league, you take a team like Stetson, who was the host. Last year, we're in the Super Regionals and in a position where they still had a good nucleus of those guys back. And we lost a tough game in the first game, and then eventually Liberty wound up winning it. And Liberty did pretty well in their own regionals, too.
Yes, they did. Stetson, as you mentioned, last year made it the Super Regionals. You guys won it the year before, beat Michigan in the NCAA tournament. Liberty won a game. They beat Tennessee in the NCAA tournament. I think this helps in future years because, we've seen ASUN teams on the bubble. I mean, even if it's just one tournament win, I think all that stuff adds up in that room.
No, I agree. I think we were a 2 seed when we played in North Carolina's region 2 years ago when we beat Michigan, who, as you mentioned, and now they're in the Super Regional. I saw they went out to Oregon State. So, the respect for what our conference has done, certainly the individual players are there, but I think teams that play us throughout the year, we split with Florida this year in our 2 games that we had, and I know a number of teams in the conference beat FSU and other teams in the ACC and the SEC. So we've got a good nucleus coming back. We had 2 guys that did get drafted, 2 individuals whose careers were ending for us, Evan Lumbert, as well as another pitcher, Keegan Collette. So we keep that ability to have guys hopefully maybe move further into the professional ranks.
Softball, ASUN softball is loaded. You and I were talking beforehand. Might be the toughest sport, actually, to get to the NCAA tournament and in the conference.
Yeah, again, we play quality competition throughout the year, and as a league, last year we were ranked 5th cumulatively when we really felt we should have gotten an at-large bid. This year, I think we may have been 9th or 10th, but it's consistently in that grouping. What DD's done, taking our program and building it to the level that we have, and it's just amongst a lot of great teams. We finished right at the top of the league in regards to the top 3. Then we get in the tournament. Mother Nature was not very kind to us, especially for our staff that had to host it. Eventually, Lipscomb wound up winning, but we had a great group. Riley Randolph finished her great career, not only on the mound, but just as a leader. She was someone that was voted 2nd team All-American for this low senior class that they have, and that deals with individuals who just personify everything you want out of a student athlete. Someone who certainly does well academically, someone who stays in school and personifies what leadership's about. So we're happy with her. Kate Kelly, a local product, was our first team center fielder. And Raquel Fournette finished an outstanding career as probably one of the best hitters we've ever had.
I can't believe that Randolph and Fournette are not going to be back. All right, let's get to tennis. And the men get the job done once again and go to the NCAA tournament. And my goodness, Bum Phillips once said back in the day in football that we're just going to, we're going to keep on knocking, we're going to keep on knocking, and eventually we're going to kick it in. And I feel as if that program at FGCU is the women's tennis program. Yeah,
it was. We were just getting ready last time when we spoke. We had a big weekend coming up for the men against Liberty, and we won that big match. It was basically for first place. CJ and the guys finished 7-0. Won the regular season. We're the top seed. We're in a position where when we got to the conference tournament, we played against UNF in the championship match. They've Liberty's now in the league and certainly one of the best ones, but UNF has been the arch rival for us for a number of years. And we had a thrilling win. It came down to the very last match, and Marcelo Tibet wound up winning it, and third championship in 5 years. CJ, Toe did get Coach of the Year, to the same scenario 3 times in 5 years. And we unfortunately, when they regionally put teams together, they do it by cost and distance, and it's not fun to go to Gainesville when they're ranked number 3 in the country. But we played well. We almost won the doubles point, and they wound up making it to the Final Four. So just another outstanding year for the men's team. Courtney and the ladies had some injuries. The league was strong toward the top. We were the number 4 seed going into the tournament, and the number 1 seed was Liberty, and we were the only team that beaten them. We beat them during the regular season, played them in the semifinals, and we were down 3-0. For those who don't know, you have to win 4 points in order to win. And down 3-0 and pretty much laid out, and our ladies rallied back and won 4-3.
Epic.
Yeah, and then we get to the finals, and we almost did the exact same thing with our other arch rival in tennis, the UNF, and we almost pulled it off. It got to the last match. The number 1 player is Maya Ornberg, who's our all-conference player, has been Player of the Year, and she lost a great match in the championship. But couldn't be prouder of how they continue to battle, and like you said, hopefully next year will be that opportunity for them to finally make the NCAAs.
Golf, men and women, had some terrific individual performances this year, and I believe, didn't the women finish second?
Yeah, again, third time in 4 years. Sarah and her team have really worked hard to build that upper end of the conference position. She's got some really good young players. Laura Edmonds was one of the top freshmen, and hopefully next year that could be the same opportunity, just like women's tennis, we can make it to the NCAAs. And then for the men, as you mentioned, we just had a lot of individual success through the course of, I guess, what you call the regular season. But the ASUN men's golf is just so tough. As we talked about with softball, probably at this juncture, I would say ASUN men's golf is on the equivalence of what ASUN softball is in terms of a top 10 type of conference based on results.
Well, think about it. You got 4 Florida teams. Kennesaw should always be good, the greater Atlanta area. Liberty coming in is seemingly good in everything. And so right there, that's over half the conference.
Yeah, and last year I think we had 3 teams that made it to the NCAA last grouping. They have regionals. I forget how many regionals there are, but there may be, there's I think 6 of them, because 30 teams make it. Like half the group eventually makes it to the NCAA final grouping. And last year we had 3 teams do it. This year we had 2. UNF was ranked number 14. Liberty was ranked number 21, and in a position where they both advanced to the final 30. So we're getting close. We're just not there yet. And this was also our last year for Coach Booker. He's been our coach the last 5 years. Terrific gentleman. We want to say thank you to Eric for all his contributions. Wish him well, and we'll hopefully over the next several weeks have a new coach to come in that we can introduce the next time we talk about this.
Beach volleyball, and I had used the word epic before. It would have been, you could argue, beach volleyball came this close to pulling off what would have been, outside of the men in the Sweet 16, would have been the biggest upset, I think, in school history.
Especially considering we have so few resources. I mean, we have a number of individuals play both indoor and beach, and they're on scholarship and are really talented players. And we had that great run with the indoor team this year to the second round of the NCAAs. But from an overall standpoint, there's a lot of teams that we play that's all they do is beach.
Right.
So that means in the fall they're practicing beach, and their chemistry is well together as they play in their pairs. By the time we get off the floor, because we do practice in the spring indoors, we're well behind a lot of teams. And for what Matt's done with Chris Sweat and that program really has been tremendous. Last year we had our first ever win against a nationally ranked team. It was either FIU that we beat. And when we got to the semifinals, we were facing UNF, who just always seems to be just ahead of us. And for the first time, we knocked them off. And we get to the championship match, and you play like tennis. It's in pairs. You got to win 3. And we were up 2-1. And that one that we took the lead on was Kirsten Gardner, our freshman from Norway, who was freshman of the year, and Amanda Carroll, our all everything indoors, who's really become a great beach player. They upset the number 1 pairs for Stetson, who's ranked 8th in the country, and then they won the next 2 sets to wind up winning 3-2, but they were really close. So, and then they turned around and beat USC in the first round of the NCAA tournament, with number 1 in the country. So I guess I don't know what they call that distributive factor, that we're that close to beating USC, but it really is fun to watch those games, and the matches that we've been playing against quality competition only shows how best we're getting.
Well, but my point being is that Stetson was top 10 in the country, and you're virtually no scholarships in your sport. I mean, you're this far above a club sport, in all honesty, in terms of resources, and you were this close to being the NCAA representative. I think it would have been, outside of teams that have gotten to the NCAA tournament, in the history of FGCU athletics, I thought it was, quite frankly, the best performance in a conference tournament.
The only thing, though, to clarify is that there is no automatic bid process. So had we won, we probably, because there's so few teams.
I still believe if you guys had won the conference tournament, it would have been one of the greatest accomplishments in the history of this school.
Yeah, and again, the element of the reason they were ranked number 8 is that they had a great year beating a lot of national teams. So yeah, no, again, just has been a phenomenal year, and for what the ladies done indoor and outdoor from a volleyball standpoint was really the best program year we've ever had.
Is it the Nestles, as in like a chocolate bar, or is it the Nesties? Which is it? It's the Nesties.
Nesties, just like SBs. And
if it was the Nestles, then I figured that would be my job. That I would do the talking. All right.
It's similar to a lot of other programs across the country. When you have events at the end of the year, they've kind of put a spin on it. And our student athletes came to us and said, hey, we'd like to take this to another level. We've been doing it over in the COLLEN Center Ballroom. We'd like to have it here in the arena. When you get Mike Miller from our staff involved when it comes to putting on a showcase, it really was neat. They basically, and it was pretty much the ladies told the guys, you're dressing up. We want to get dressed up and you're dressing up.
So it became a high school dance of sorts.
Yeah, and it's always a quality event. Dr. Martin, the president's always there to give out our most prestigious award, which is our Eagle Scholar Athlete, which this year went, we actually had 2 winners, Holly Fritz, our academic All-American and All-Region women's soccer player, as well as Maggie Rick, who is our all-time leader in assists for volleyball and helped lead that championship team that we pretty much already talked about. So amongst those awards, we have some other ones. We honor all the seniors and thank them for all the things that they've done. And then we give out a couple other special awards, including the gentleman I mentioned earlier, Mike Miller, who you've seen in action. And people a lot of times wonder, does he take time to sleep and eat? Because he's around here all the time, all the events that we do, all the opportunities that we have to showcase our facilities. And he does a phenomenal job, and he received the Stanley Butch Perchin Award, which he cherished deserve. And the neat part for me was the initial invitations or call for nominations. I got 4 different student athletes from different teams that nominated him, so that was really neat.
Well, it's fitting because the Butch Perchin Award is basically the most important / glue person at the university, and I can't imagine this place without Mike Miller.
It pretty much personifies someone who bleeds green and blue, which is what Butch does, and it's a neat award. Anybody who's won the award since Butch got the first one knows what a great honor that is. So,
well, it's been proven for years now that student athletes actually perform at a better rate in the classroom than just the general student population. You guys are proving this to the nth degree. You've been here, what, 10 years?
Yeah.
Every semester you've been here, the student athletes have outperformed the students.
Well, it's just a great group of, first of all, dedicated and motivated student athletes working with our Hartley Academic Resource Center staff, Kelly Brock and her wonderful group, and our faculty who understand when they travel, to help them be able to get ahead or catch up if necessary, doing things where we have to have proctor exams and so forth. But there's been a lot of pride put into that with the student athletes. Teams really vie for who's the best GPA, certainly the individual awards that we can present, and to do so for 20 semesters, and we're thankfully having it done with a pretty good margin. We had a 3.32 GPA for both the fall and the spring. Our cumulative is a 3.33, and the undergraduate student body is about a 3.07. And again, the element of success, they're used to working hard and seeing results in their sport, and these young men and women are doing things in ways that it's really hard to comprehend how they do it with all the time they have to put into travel and other things in their life.
But they actually get better at budgeting their time oftentimes because of sports, and they have limited time and they use it better. It's remarkable. It's been proven now for years, not just at FGCU, that student athletes for the most part do better than just the student population at a particular school. But you guys basically have done it for a decade, which is remarkable. Now, I'm familiar with the significance of APR just in terms of a program being eligible to play in NCAA tournaments, but I saw a release a little while ago about the significance of FGCU with APR in terms of being the best in the state. I don't quite understand it, so explain it to me.
Well, every semester, anyone who's on athletic aid has to earn a point for staying eligible and also for retention, so that you stay at the school to get people to graduation.
Right.
And so every student athlete earns it. You put all the points together that you could have earned, and in a position you get a percentage. And if you are taking it across the board and you're perfect, you get what they call 1,000. And if you do that for 4 straight years, then you earn the ability to be put on the NCAA National Public Recognition Award group. And we had a year ago 5. This year we had 7 teams that did it. Last year it was not only the most in the ASUN, it was the most in the state. And this year when we went to 7, it's a good thing we did, because some other teams got to 5, but nobody got to 7. So it's just, again, another proud accomplishment. And we're doing that with 15 teams.
Right.
You know, some schools in the state, they have over 20 teams. So 7 out of 15 is almost 50% of our programs that are doing it. Again, just another way for us to hopefully be able to demonstrate value added to the university in terms of things that we take very proudly, in terms of how we're trying to make sure the end game is much more so than the ability to play your sport and then your eligibility is done and what are you going to do. You try to get that balance so that when you're ready, if you can play like Chris Sale or others that we've had professional opportunities, awesome, but the majority of our student athletes are going to need that degree, and this retention and getting good grades is how they get the opportunity to graduate sooner rather than later too.
Where we're hosting this show is in the theater, and this was part of Phase 1. 3 years ago you guys announced Phase 1 and Phase 2 construction. Is Phase 2 complete?
No, Phase 2 hopefully will start on around January 1st. The university is about to complete a student wellness center in a position to help the entire university with fitness and other capabilities for campus recreation. And when that happens, then the other side of the arena, which we refer to, the west side, which is a fitness center that we've been sharing for all these years, will turn over just to athletics. We also have other opportunities downstairs in our locker rooms for men's and women's basketball and volleyball that we really want to enhance to help us in recruiting, but also just help the functional pieces, just like this room has been so good for those teams. So we're still in the final pieces of that capital campaign, and would love to speak to anybody at any time, show them, just like we did with this facility, you know, how it's going to eventually look and how the resources they can do help all our teams.
Well, I do remember just when you announced 3 years ago, there were people that said, hey, I want to put my name on, and you can see that when you walk up to Alico Arena, not just in the bricks, but also you look on the side and there are names on specific, I want to be part of this center, I want to be part of that center. So, you know, one day I'll make enough. I'll put my name on something for you. But until then, I'll talk about the teams that I cover. Basketball, season tickets. I'm a season ticket holder. I got an email the other day. If I re-up by like the end of the month, it works to my advantage, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's opportunities for people as they're doing so now to win prizes as they've done it, both to join the Eagles Club as well as season tickets. And secondarily, if you don't make it by the end of June, then your tickets do go up for new people coming in that want some really good seats that aren't currently available. So we're really making that push now. We are excited already about next year. Coach Fly and the men's team have a number of brand new players, but we have those really good core of Zach and Caleb and Brian to build around. Christian Carlisle. We're going to have a nucleus of new players into the mix that we're excited about. We've got another good schedule we're still working on. Carl and the women's team certainly had another phenomenal year, but now, again, he seems to retool all the time with a great schedule with Duke and LSU, amongst others, for home schedule.
Well, I could argue it's maybe the best home schedule ever.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a year, I remember you guys hosted during your provisionary period, it was shortly after you got here, Indiana, Michigan State both came that year. LSU and Florida have been here, but I mean, to think who's coming this year, it might be the best home schedule ever.
Yeah, and again, Carl's at a point where he gets the really, really good teams to come, and then it's hard to do it because we're at that level where teams don't look at us as an opportunity for the bigger schools even to win on the road, and some other schools want no part of our three-point shooting. So, but we're excited where we are. Now it's just a matter of hopefully over the next several weeks finalizing the schedule, and we've got the games that are already determined out on the website, so people want to know which games and what dates and so forth. But But the other thing too is the ASUN in itself is a really good schedule. You think about this past year with the men in particular, Lipscomb going to the championship game, Liberty being close enough to almost say that they were that close to the Sweet 16 against a Virginia Tech team who lost basically at the buzzer to Duke. The league continues to get better and better. We've seen it over the years from our Sweet 16 run to Mercer, who left us beating Duke, and certainly, like I said, last year. And on the women's side, North Alabama has been a really good addition to the league. Stetson and Jacksonville have been really difficult rivals for us. So we hope that people appreciate what they can see in ASUN basketball besides the non-conference. And then on the men's side, if you want to get ahead of the game, a year from now we've got USC and Andy coming back and Rhode Island. So you get your tickets, and then a year from now you get to keep them.
And not only that, I could see a series returning with Mercer, and 2 years from now, the home schedule, I think you could argue, will be the best ever. So did I forget anything? I didn't forget a team. I remember the academics. I even, remember the season tickets. Did I forget anything?
Well, two things just to kind of wrap up the year, and I did mention her earlier in terms of being our co-athlete of the year, but Holly Fritz from women's soccer, a local product from Cape Coral, was voted the ASUN Female Scholar Athlete of the Year. And just another tremendous accomplishment, achievement to finish up her career. I believe the only person that had that award for us previously was Courtney Cheehill back in 2011-12, our team that went to the first NCAA for the women and was a terrific student athlete. So that was one. And then the other one, it's a situation where we're really happy on the one hand that we've lost someone because it's a great career opportunity.
I know. I can't believe she's gone.
Yeah,
Chelsea Bamberry, 14 years between player and assistant coach.
Yeah. Carl said a story. We had a recent going away party to celebrate her opportunity at High Point. And he just talked about when he went to recruit another young lady on her junior college team, and not only saw Durham, as we still refer to Coach Bamberry from her maiden name, and how she saw her, and then Kate Schrader was there with her, and it worked out pretty well.
That's right.
So
the guts of that Division II team that played for the national championship.
Yeah. So it's just, again, her beautiful family with Greg and her little son Jackson will certainly be missed. But Carl's starting to develop a tray, and he's got a number of his former assistant coaches, with Nikki Collin winning the Coach of the Year in her first year with the Atlanta Dream, and Kate herself at Carl's Old School, Walsh. That's what's a pride part of a program that not only people are following footsteps, but they've been very successful.
Well, and also this is such a young university and such a young athletic department that to see somebody who basically grew up here, I mean, she has spent darn near half her life here, and she's also one of those important athletes in the beginning. The first team that put FGCU on the map in sports was the women's basketball team when they played for the national championship their final year of Division II. I mean, for FGCU to get on ESPN2 in 2007 was a really big deal. And then also that team, first year Division I, to make the NIT when nobody did that. Being in athletics, teams that go from D2 to D1 get their brains beat in. And that team wins 23 games, goes to the NIT, beats USF, loses close at Florida, and she was the senior point guard on that team. And she's really one of those important athletes in the very beginning when the cement began to harden here.
The legacy that she leaves is phenomenal, and we talked earlier about the Butch Award, and she won that. We bestowed that upon her a few years ago because she does bleed green and blue, and she does it in a very quiet manner. I mean, she's not looking for the limelight. She just gets things done. She's adored by all of our current and former players and her teammates as well. And just in a situation like you said, it was part of buying into something before there was a lot to buy, but being a part of something where the last 12 years, first as a player and now all these years as an assistant coach, where we continue to be that team that for 12 straight years now is the only one to ever go to the postseason when you started your Division I career. And now we got to do it without her, so it won't be easy, but we're looking forward to that opportunity.
Hopefully she'll schedule us.
Well, we've already talked about, because one of her last responsibilities was helping Carl with scheduling, and as I heard she was leaving, I said, oh, by the way, so does that mean you're coming to play us here next year? And she said, no, the schedule's done, but we'll look to do that soon.
All right, so since we're going to put a wrap to the 2018-19 athletic year, So what's the final tally? When the year is done, adding up all the championships, and because if you've never been inside Alico Arena and the athletic offices, if you walk in them, you see two big numbers that are seemingly constantly changing. I know they're not going to change now for at least 90 days because you're not playing any sports. So what are those numbers?
We're now went to 78 total championships since we went Division I, and 36 NCAA appearances. It was 70 and 33. Mike Miller's working on the new numbers for us. And those are numbers, if they don't change on an annual basis, then the athletic director may change.
Well, they've been changing, so I think you're safe at least till the fall.
Again, it's just continued kudos to everybody, certainly our student athletes and our coaches, but our fans. If we didn't get the support to be where we are now, it couldn't have been accomplished without people who weren't alums of FGCU that bought into it, adopted us, from facilities to other resources that we have to make our program special, to just the energy that recruits see when they come, or coaches. We're in the midst of looking at some different opportunities with new staff members, and when people understand what FGCU athletics is about, they want to be a part of it, and that's a thing that we should all be proud of.
Well, before we say goodbye, the woman that is responsible for taping this show and making us look as good as possible, the next time we tape this, she'll be married. Yeah,
and she'll be married to one of our coaches who was Coach of the Year. So I got to think he's in a situation, he may be doing well professionally, but he just married up.
Way over his skis, way out over his skis. Monica, congratulations, all the best. Thanks to all of you, not only for watching, but supporting FGCU for another athletic year. Have a great summer. Don't be afraid to get involved in FGCU athletics. Call or email this gentleman. Believe me, he will return the call. Have a great summer. Thanks for watching State of the Eagles.
Thanks. God bless, and wings up.